Hello and welcome to the channel. Just doing a quick video. I've got lots to do today, but it all went a bit horribly wrong. But never mind. Right. I'm looking back through. This is my history. What I really want to do is see that is when I fall asleep. So I went and ticked on the not interested. I don't know why the hell they think I would want to watch that. But never mind. You fall asleep and that stuff's playing. This is sort of things that interest me. You know, right. Craig Houston, Jesus, right, okay. J.K. Rowling and Lauren Kelly. Neither, I don't like neither. Never mind. That came up again, so it stopped coming up because I finally discovered how to. It's actually quite difficult to say you're not interested in something. It's quite complicated. It's not as easy as you think. So you click on that. How do you do that? You know. I don't know why that was coming up. Right, never mind that. Just that. Well, this was this guy, right? I'm going to try and not be mean about these guys. There's this guy. And there's this guy. Because on some level, I kind of get their position, and that's probably why I had it. They've came my way in the algorithms. So Swinny,
are you taking the time to warm up?
That member was told by the minister, quite a biological male, to use the female toilets. And when a member of the congregation complained about this, that member was told by the minister, quite inappropriately, wrongly and inaccurately, that it was the advice he'd received, it was the guidance, it was the law. And of course it is none of those things. It's actually, of course, illegal. Well, it's gone up. The bishops are getting him.
So what he's talking about is male and female toilets, and he's talking complete rubbish, really, because these like that. This I don't know what his name is actually. Silver, whatever his name is. There are no laws regarding toilets in this country. You know, what do I mean? Well, you know, you can use any toilet you want. Is really the bottom line. You're male. The courtesy would be if you're male, you'd use the male toilets. If you're female, you'd use the female toilets. But in actual fact, you could use any toilet. There's no laws about that. You know, so people who have transitioned from male to female would use the female toilets, and people who have transitioned from female to male would use the male toilets. So there's no laws. So actually, in actual fact, he could use the female toilets if he wanted, right? So the reality is, if you've got a beard and you look like him, it's not a good idea to use the female toilets. So, you know, it's kind of like a common sense thing. So he's starting to talk about law, and I think he's talking about the High Court ruling that a woman should be a biological female, or because J.K. Rowling gave these women in Scotland 70 grand or something. She paid for the court fees to take the Scottish government to court. The definition of woman. So I suppose we're talking about a definition of woman. So women, like definition of woman, you've also got female, and you've got the whole thing about gender and everything like that. So what he's saying is he's making a story out of this, which is
involved. They're being forced to not be
right. Let's get to
with children that they wouldn't be allowing grown men into women's safe areas.
Right. So a safe area. So you say firstly, what's a woman? That's the first question you have to ask. Secondly, what's a safe area? So what is a woman? Well, that's is that a biological female? Okay, right. So secondly, a safe area. So a toilet is not a safe area. So that's the end of the, there's that's kind of the end of it, really. There's not, you can sit and listen to this guy all day long, but toilets are not safe areas. I think rape crisis centre would be a safe area. A women's refuge would be a safe area. So there is safe areas, but the reality is, in everyday life, none of us ever go to safe areas because toilets aren't safe areas. So that's that. I mean, he can sit there and waffle all day long. I noticed he's doing the thing with his finger up at his nose quite a bit. I'm wondering if that's a sign of deception. It's a couple of times he's done it. So that's why he's going with this narrative, and he maybe knows deep down inside it's not right, or maybe he's just a bit. I actually don't know. Maybe he's a bit stupid. Yeah. I mean, you can be. You've got a right to you've got a right to what you believe in, but you can't sit and say things that are just plainly untrue. Like a woman's safe area is a toilet, because it isn't. I mean, I don't know what it's like I do know about other countries, but certainly it's more liberal in other countries. European countries will have mixed toilets, and that's what they do. And there's a British thing. So I think what he's really pushing is this he's quite outdated kind of ideas about men and women, probably, but who knows?
Or there might be young girls in there, but that's the.
So he's talking. He's mentioned children and young girls. I mean, there's really much point going into this. Really, I mean, they're working on some kind of bogeyman sort of thing. I don't know. He's taught. Like, obviously, who's it? Like, so, okay, let's just go with that one then. Like, so who would be, what, of young girls, statistically, who would they be in danger of more? Like, me or him? Right? Or statistically, it's him, isn't it? It's like, so that's this, they're sort of trying to make this bogeyman thing. That there's these, and the statistics for a man claiming to be a woman going into a woman's safe space which doesn't exist, and then I don't know what he's talking about. He's hinting at molesting children or something, and he's making sort of veiled accusations about the church. They
say to me, "Come unto me, little children." They do like their children, don't they? All religions, not just the Church of Scotland, it's all religions. They love children. Love getting their hands on children.
I'm starting to get a bit alarmed at this guy. Some of this could be... I didn't even want to really go into this too much in this video. Some of the language he's using is quite alarming. What's he hiding? What is he hiding? Is it him that he's... Is this what it's about? So you demonise transgender women and men, and that allows you to be a full-on Peter file. So somebody calls it Peter. Yeah, I'm getting quite alarmed the more I watch this guy. Maybe we should stop. There's more in here, obviously. There's no point in me repeating his old video. You can watch it there. Trans Action Income in Silver Fox, Scotland. Go and watch him, if you want. So this is a quick video, so I'm going to quickly go into some things here, right? So we'll have a look. So we'll miss Isla Bryson as a man, and right, Green candidate. We'll leave that one in now. I'm quoting Craig Houston. I'm not saying anything about Isla Bryson. I'm quoting him, right? His headline there. So this is my history. But we'll quickly go to this one here. But I don't want to go into this. Like, I did comment on this, and I think he deleted it, or my comment disappeared. I've got knowledge about this, what he's talking about here, what kind of undermines what he's saying. And I don't suppose he wants him to undermine what he's saying. And what I'll say about me and what I do in my videos, I give people have a democratic right to voice their opinions. They don't have a right to be abusive, yeah. So I have been quite abusive with Craig. Some things, I haven't been directly abusive to him, but I've called him a fanny and stuff and stupid things like that. So maybe he's come across that, I don't know. But I would say that what I'm doing is constructive criticism, and I'm happy for people to do well on YouTube and everything like that, and I just believe that I think people need to be corrected, and that's what I'm doing. These are my opinions. I'm critiquing people, so it doesn't mean that they're right. You might disagree with me, but I do know facts about this case and that person there. I know facts about that undermines what he's saying. So I wrote that in an intelligent way, and I think it's been deleted more than likely. So because it doesn't fit his narrative. So he's pushing a narrative. Same as the other guy, this Craig Houston. The narrative. What is the narrative he's pushing? Not exactly. Well, I think it's that trans women are the bogeymen. I think that's probably the narrative. I mean, I accept this as sort of not negative, and I should probably move along from it. But at the same time, it's critiquing, and it's. I think you have to stand up and be counted as well, and put your opinion out there. So what happened was sorted by newest first. So I commented. So my comment's gone. He's deleted it. So maybe that's why I'm doing this. So what I said was what I'm about to tell you. So there was another quite alarming thing on here that somebody commented. Hold on, I'll try and find it. Right, here it is. I'll just read this out. Hey, trans women here, right? So this woman is identifying as a trans woman. I came across your channel with the Rangers video, so she's probably a Rangers fan. So she's a Rangers fan. I'll try and make this quick. I hate being lumped in with these people. You only hear about the criminals and wrongings. Most of us just want to live in peace, not to preach to anyone or make anyone feel uncomfortable. Don't know what I'm trying to say, just that most of us are chill, right? Okay, so this, she's one of his subscribers, and what he said is unbelievable. The minority ruining for majority, making women's spaces unsafe, ruining women's sport, and indoctrination of kids has to stop. It's not done by folk out. This is Craig talking. It's not done by folk out with the trans community, so it's down to you to sort. If you're telling me it's a minority, then should be able to sort easily. So he's so this woman is one of his subscribers. She's one of his potential voters, and he's telling her it's down to her to sort. So firstly, what's down to her to sort? What do you mean, Craig? So, right, let's go over it. Making women's spaces unsafe. Right, so what are these women's spaces that they're making unsafe? Toilets. So we've already been over that. Toilets are not safe spaces. Right, women's sport. Yeah, that's another one. Women's sport, I believe that sport should be for everyone, and it should be fair and equal, and it isn't. So it's in categories. So we're down to women. What is the definition of a woman? That's really what the problem here is. So the court made this decision that it was a biological female. So the sport thing, I think it's inherent. Sport is it's not about what I think, but I'll tell you what. It's inherently discriminatory against men. So men cannot compete in women's sport. Therefore, that's discrimination. So you're missing it by a country mile, Craig. But I would expect you to, because you're not really able to do critical analysis or really think about things. Otherwise, you wouldn't say stupid things like that. So, indoctrination of kids. Now, what's it got to do with her? Right. So who's indoctrinating kids? You know, so we're talking about is he talking about LGBTQI activism and stuff like that? Well, yeah, maybe he's right with that, but it's not her job to fucking stop that, is it? I mean, that would be like, I don't even want to say anything racist here. I don't want to use an analogy of me blaming this guy that I know. This is externalization. It's dumb. His answer is dumb. Therefore, well, I'll let you work that out. I mean, I think it's quite awful what he said to that lady. She's reaching out. Why bother? You know, I mean, you're wasting your time. She's a Rangers supporter, you know, so she says, what can I possibly do? Seriously, I'm only one person, I'm not a political activist or anything. So she's like a normal person. It's like asking one black person, why is your crime rate so high? It's up to you to fix it. Like, I don't know, it's not my responsibility. But he's strawmanning you anyway. So there's nothing for you to fix. It's just it's in Craig's tiny little mind, right? So that's him, he bails out of that. I don't know what's happened. He's bailed out of that. You know, so that's a stupid answer to give to that, you know, stupid answer.
It committed murder against a woman, the woman given the right to be in a woman's wing. That's what we're told. And the other
it's
thing
you that's bonkers, Craig.
The famous Isla Bryson case, which was at the end of...
Right, so what, Paris Green, that's her name there. Wait a minute, that's her.
An epic journey to switch. Yeah, another outrageous example, the Scottish Prison Service, where a person who was a man, is a man, changed gender to a woman and is now in the women's prison because he didn't commit a crime against a woman.
Right, so what I'll tell you what I know about Paris. I met Paris in 2010, and she, at that time, was presented as, I understood her to be female. Obviously she'd been male and transitioned to female. So I met her about 3 years before she got involved in a crime. I'll try and make this quick. I don't want to go on for hours. She got involved with, there's these guys, she was living in a flat in Glenrothes, and these guys were coming round to her flat, and two of them murdered this other guy that came round to the flat. This is what I know about what happened. And instead of reporting them to the police, so this Paris Green, who she got jailed in 2013. This is now 2025. Right, so she got implicated in a murder and got locked up. Now, I've met her. I don't think she's capable of murdering anybody. She's quite weak. I don't think she's very bright, actually. A bit dim. Personal feelings are she should be out of jail by now, given the atrocities that people have committed. And I have known murderers. I've met other murderers in my life. I don't actually class her as a murderer. She was involved in a murder when a man had a horrible death, and she should have gone to jail, and she has gone to jail. I don't think she should be in now. I'm not putting some personal campaign for her. I couldn't give a flying shite about her, really. I met her. I tried to avoid her afterwards. You know, that's all I can say about it. But is she a woman or is she a man? So she was going for surgery when I met her. That was in 2010. So I don't know what happened. I don't know if she got surgery. So this is what I was trying to explain to Craig, and I think he's deleted my comment, was that I'm trying to do it in a sort of professional manner here, right? Right, so the prison service has to make decisions about people, right? So do you want, let's just imagine, I think Paris probably has a vagina, right? I don't know for sure, actually, because I don't know if she had gender reassignment. Do you want her in a male prison with her vagina? Do you think that's a good idea, Craig? Do you? Craig, do you think that's a good idea? See, there's nothing going. See if you measure between that bit there and that bit there. I don't think there's really much. There's not a lot going on there. Right? Critical analysis, do you do it, Craig? No, you didn't do it. Right? So this is legally, she's a woman. Well, but then the High Court decision is now saying you have to be a biological female. The problem is that there's a Gender Recognition Act which preceded the... So he's going by this ruling in the High Court. There's a Gender Recognition Act, 2004, and there's an Equality Act as well. So he's completely ignoring that. So that hasn't been removed. That's still there. The gender recognition. So she's changed her gender. Her birth certificate's probably got F for female on it. But in saying that, I don't actually know for sure. So down to the prison service. So you present yourself, say, right, this is this criminal here. What prison we're going to put her in. Or him, whatever the case may be. Has she got a penis? No, she doesn't have a penis. Right, we'll put her in a women's prison then. Has she got a penis? Therefore, is that how it works? Is that so? On a practical level, if she hasn't got a penis, she's got a vagina. So it's not right to put her in a male prison because all these males are going to be shagging her, right? It's not good for the prison security, is it? Equally, if she has got a penis, you don't want to put her in a women's prison, right? So that the prison service are perfectly capable of working these things out. And that's what I explained to Craig, and he deleted my comment. And it's because the political interference by the SNP and by these parties is when it all goes horribly wrong. The prison service are not stupid, so they've put her in a women's prison, which is where she should go. But I do say that with a caveat that I'm not entirely sure if she's had gender reassignment. I'm not entirely sure if she's changed her legal gender, because there's a process to change your legal gender, and that is you have to go to court to change it. And I did that, and it is illegal. So whether I like it or not, so let's put it this way: the government changed my birth certificate, and did they do that with her? Probably, yeah. So, Craig, you're talking shite. You know what I mean?
So considered safe, and has now been charged while in jail for battering a woman.
Right, I definitely don't think that Paris Green should be in jail, because she was involved in a murder. She didn't commit the murder, but I think at the time when I heard about it, because I'd met her and didn't really like her much, I avoided her, and I was proved to be right with that, wasn't I? But at the time, I couldn't see how she murdered anyone. She was involved in a murder, and I've known murderers. So we're talking about 2013, 12 years. We're talking about 12 years. So she should be out by now. So I don't know what happened if she fell out with somebody, battered a prison officer.
And as far as I know, it's still in the jail, in the women's wing.
Right, well you're right.
It's an incredible story.
It is incredible. I find it incredible how you cannot bring yourself to look at these things in a more holistic manner and accept the fact that there is a Gender Recognition Act. I'm not going to keep going with this. We'll leave that because it's going to take too long. Right? So we'll leave it at that now. We'll go into it maybe a bit more. So to sum up, Paris Green should not be in jail. She should be out. It's absolutely ridiculous. And of course, Craig doesn't... He's against, transgender women. He's got a thing against them. So, he's pushing that, and he's got a right to believe that, and that's fine. But, I think any right-thinking person can see that she shouldn't be in jail. So she should be out of jail. It's 13 years she's been in jail for being involved in a murder. The two guys, I don't know if they're still in jail. The two men, the accomplices, I imagine they probably are. I think at the time she just didn't... She was a bit... When I met her, I didn't think she was... I think she should have got a better lawyer. If she'd been middle class, and I did say this to Craig, she probably wouldn't have got hammered with the sentence she did. She's not really capable. She should have had better lawyers. If she'd been middle class or educated person, she would have probably got a better lawyer and money. But no, they just chucked her in jail, threw the key away, and here's you coming along and rubbing it right in. You're really, Craig, yeah, I think you're going to reap what you sow. But never, we'll keep that separate. So let's go on to the next video we did, and then we'll leave it. So let's leave that one now. why certain rates have risen. I get what he's doing. He's getting a lot of views with his videos. A Scottish trans woman fled to Argentina, you know, whatever. This is the one that caught my eye quite a bit. So, in this one, he's had 7,000 views. So this lady here, that's Victoria McLeod. And she is retired. She is a judge, or she's a retired judge. So, as far as I'm concerned, she's a judge, right? So, correct me if I'm wrong, he's made a video. This clown has made a video, like, discriminating against a transgender woman, which is Victoria McLeod, but she's also a judge. And how daft is that? Is that alright? I don't know. I mean, I don't think I would do it. I mean, police, I've slagged off the police quite a bit. I believe Police Scotland are politically corrupted, and they have demonstrated that over recent events with 20 zones and stuff like that, and the problems we had with the leader, and how she's in their pockets, you know, and there's a lot of problems with Police Scotland, and I've critiqued them quite a bit, but I don't think I would target an actual judge like what Craig's done, and maybe he thinks it's alright. I don't know where to go to.
Right, the UK's first ever trans judge. It's taken the UK government to court over the Supreme Court's decision made about transgender people and women's rights in general. So, this story, now before I start, I didn't know there was a single trans judge in the UK. This person, Victoria McLeod, as they are known now, is very front and forward about saying, I'm a trans judge and I'm the first in the UK, and up until retired a couple of months ago, the only one, right? Now before McLeod, in 2 different appearances on a TV screen, the judge is talking about sort of general judicial business. And what I want to do is point out some peculiar differences between both the videos. Then I'll come on to the actual story of court, right? So
I'm just across the way from the building, and it's good to see that the project has gone from strength to strength, and that the outputs have come to this fruition.
My opinion on that, and I'd like to know yours. Can you tell me if the person that you were listening to there sounded like a man or a woman? If it was not for slightly unkept style of hair, I would probably be convinced that was a man. Because it sounds like a man, looks like a man, I would consider that's a man.
The UK is now in absolutely plain breach of a case called Goodwin, which is what led to the legislation permitting people to change their legal sex. So the United Kingdom is going to have to address that, and I believe that the Strasbourg Court, European Court of Human Rights, is going to tell it that it must. British people, it's not reflective of the basic decency of British people. It's simply that there's been a disproportionate voice from a very well-funded lobby, and it has the ear of government, it has the ear of the press, a lot of it, but it isn't in accordance with basic British values, and I think any government that...
Is that, if I now close my eyes, I may think, whereas previously I would probably be thinking definitely a man. So the voice of this person, is that, if I now close my eyes, I may think, is that a man or a woman? Whereas previously I would probably be thinking definitely a man. So the voice of this person has somehow managed to change.
Lenders may have
in a few months, and it seems to be dependent on the topic we're talking about. And also, we managed to dye her hair, find a comb, and brush her hair, comb or brush her hair, change in a few months. And it seems to be dependent on the topic we're talking about. And also, we managed to dye her hair, close my eyes, I may think, is that a man or a woman? Whereas previously I would probably be thinking definitely a man. So the voice of this person has somehow managed to change in a few months. And it seems to be dependent on the topic we're talking about. And also, we managed to dye her hair, find a comb, and brush her hair, comb or brush her hair, find a bright red lipstick, and the need for a big pair of red glasses. which we didn't need when we were talking about general litigation issues in a previous output. That's bizarre to me. It's like, not only do I want to look more like a woman because I'm talking about trans stuff, I want to sound more like a woman. Just be whatever you are without any cosplay, if you don't mind. So now on to the story.
So, I mean, what's bizarre is you, Craig. I mean, so she's a woman. She puts lipstick on. She doesn't always put lipsticks on. You know, so you're getting into other questions. But we're always back to what is a woman, but that's up to her. She wants to wear makeup, brush her hair, dye her hair, wear glasses. I don't understand I understand you're not really, I don't want to sit here slagging Craig off too much. I think any woman can present herself in any way. So it might be they wear makeup. What is makeup? Like Jordan Peterson, if you want to find out about makeup, what do you think makeup is for, Craig? You know, so and if you get into what is makeup, why do women wear, why do they dress the way they do? Why are they attractive? Why are they wearing attractive clothes when they go to work? So you're getting into a lot of these existential questions about women in the workplace, or so she's doing a video talking about trans stuff. So she's wearing makeup and glasses, she's brushed her hair. I really don't get. So in another video she was in, I mean, I'm sitting here right now, not bothered. I'm going to do some work in the garden. So I've got a pair of trousers on and a top on and a hat, right? So, but if I was going to a conference, I would wear smart clothes. I'd maybe get my hair, you know, I might wear makeup, or I might wear, you know, well, I do look smarter because you're going to something. So I don't think that's really anything to do with being trans or not. I think it's just about a formal scenario or a situation. The thing is that I'm an artist, so I can get away with a lot of things. I can look a bit strange or a bit unkempt or whatever. It's just like, it's a strange artist. And I do go to conferences as an artist, but I will wear makeup and I'll look a bit better than what I normally do, like what I'm looking like now. I don't see what your big deal is and what the point of this is. So he does go on what Victoria McLeod is doing, quite rightly. She's taken the British government to court, to the European Court of Human Rights. So, but, I mean, I'm not claiming I'm an expert on this, but we did leave. So Brexit happened. We left the EU, but we didn't leave the European Court of Human Rights. So she has got a very good case, and she's going to go to European, and she's the one to do it because she's a judge, an ex-judge. I mean, I'm not the one to do it. She is. So that's how what's her name? J.K. Rowling took the Scottish government to court because she's got money, right? So Victoria McLeod, I dare say she's not hard up, but she'll have the legal expertise to take the British government to court over the failure that they made. So what you're not getting, Craig, is because you don't want to, and I have tried to write these things out in an intelligent way, is you'll get people like myself. The British government changed my birth certificate to female, and now the High Court says I'm not a woman. So I don't give a fuck actually about it. That's fine, right? But my birth certificate says I'm female. So who was it that did it? It wasn't me. I didn't go wrong, scribble it out and write female in it. The government did, right? So I'm just trying to kind of put it to a realistic what's actually happened. And the reason that happened was because of the Gender Recognition Act and the Equality Act. That's why it happened. So that's what Victoria McLeod is doing. So a lot of your transgender women and men, and of course it was really against women, because this battle with J.K. Rowling, and you're supporting her, Craig, with your view on this, is that the battle is really from against men. So if we go for Craig's definition that there's only males and females, which is what he believes, and a lot of people do. And these are men. So J.K. Rowling is fighting men. So it's a very small percentage of men, and you're supporting her to fight men in this sort of strange kind of lie that you're supporting women. And all the while, you're on a loser with it, because the women, well, you know, we're going to get into too much stuff here. But that's what the European Court of Human Rights is going to do. And they're going to, the British government, Stammer and all that idiots, are going to have to change. They're going to have to get legislation in for transgender women to be women, because you can't have two. I mean, it's all very well, Craig, you and that other guy, Silver Optics, you don't like all this stuff, right? But the reality is, the Gender Recognition Act is there, and it's been there since 2004. So, the other thing I'll quickly say before we go is that I don't really want to go on about this too long, it's already 36 minutes. We'll do another video later. Is that so you want to eradicate trans rights, right? And I would be up for going back to some kind of thing, we'll get rid of all that stuff, right? But you're not recognising that you'd have to get rid of all the women's rights as well, and the disabled rights, because that's what the Equality Act was. So J.K. Rowling and co and all these types, and you supporting her, they want to get rid of the trans rights, but just those rights. But you don't recognise or understand you can't go back like that. You'd have to put everybody back, right? So sadly, our whole sort of, I'm not going to babble on too much about too much of this, right? Let's because it could get into a lot of in-depth topics about the future of civilization and Western civilization in general.
And is now going to take the British government to European Court. And let me just read the story. Britain's first transgender judge is taking the UK to the European Court of Human Rights over the Supreme Court's ruling on biological sex. The UK Supreme Court ruled earlier this month that the terms woman and sex in the Equality Act referred only to a biological woman and to biological sex, with subsequent guidance from the Equality Watchdog amounting to a blanket ban on the trans people using toilets and other services of the gender they identify as.
Well, that's a bit misconstrued, because it depends what we're talking about here. You know, and are you talking about what toilets are you talking about? You know, are you at work and stuff like that? You know, I think he's conflating a lot of stuff here. We'll go back to what I said at the beginning of this video. Women's toilets and men's toilets are not safe spaces.
Victoria McLeod, a retired judge, is applying to European Court of Human Rights to bring action against the UK for infringement of her Article 6 rights. Article 6 of the Human Rights Convention guarantees the right to a fair trial for both criminal and civil matters. And this is what the judge is arguing. Last year, McLeod sought to have leave to join the litigation in the Supreme Court case brought by gender-critical campaigners for Women Scotland against the Scottish Government. Arguing it could significantly affect legal protections for transgender women, but was rejected. So basically the court looked at this appeal for her to come and give evidence, and they went, well, no really, we don't need it. McLeod, who is now litigation strategist at W Legal, told The Guardian.
So, you know, we're off and on here, but I think what they were saying was that Victoria McLeod, or trans, you know, the trans people didn't get a voice. And of course we're ignoring trans men here. Women that have become men, transitioned to men. So they didn't get a voice. So because J.K. Rowling had all that money to spend, you know. So Victoria McLeod is quite rightly taking British government to the European Court of Human Rights. So I think we'll just move along from it. I mean, we could go on about this for hours.
Well, you've kind of got that. And it's just nonsense. But that's because we, for probably a generation now, have built a society where, we must pander to the minority, regardless of the consequences. But what I'm glad to report is, I have seen a switch away from that recently, where people are going, nah, we're not doing it anymore. And I hope that continues. You want us to see it.
So what he's actually doing is he's picking his minority. So he's oppressing transgender women and in the support of another minority, which is, I don't know if he recognises this, but it's, well, gender critical feminists. So that's, well, lesbians, you know, extreme feminists, you know. So that's what he's saying, that we're not having it. So that's what he's actually doing. He's just choosing that minority and he's conflating it into protecting women's rights. So I don't know his personal circumstances, you know, but he's you know, discriminating against a tiny small minority of transgender women in favour of a small minority of radical critical feminists. Most mainstream women are not radical feminists and they're not lesbians. You know, they're men-hating lesbians. Lesbians hate men, you know, let's be under no doubt about this. They don't like you, Craig. They don't like me either, Craig, because they don't like men, right? So you can go around it all you like, but that's what you're doing. And I don't know, I just don't think you've really thought about these things. Or maybe you don't care. Maybe it's all about you making money on YouTube. If that's what it is, well, I think you're doing quite well. You know, I think you really are. But as a leader of the SDP, you know, I think you're going to turn it into a bit of a joke. Because you really need to up your game and stop talking so much shite, basically. I can talk shite because I'm not a leader of a political party, you know. And I can say what I believe and what I feel. For the most part, well, we can't, of course, because you can get jailed. And look at Lucy Connolly got jailed. And those people do get jailed for speaking out against the political narrative. And I predict that that's going to happen to you, Craig. And I think you're going to deserve it. But so we'll leave it. There's another thing about him that is quite annoying.
Enjoyed the video? You want us to see it? Do 1, 2 or 3 of the following things. So, thumbs up, comments, and hit.
Right, so he doesn't want my comments because my comments don't agree with him. So he's deleted my comments.
Share. That would be great. If you've not already done so, please subscribe.
There's a video there.
Notification bell. Follow the channel.
If you want to watch it, go
However,
watch it.
I always say the most important thing of all, unless you're a crackpot who should know better, because at the end of the day you're a judge.
That's...
Oh no, you're a doctor.
Is he calling the judge a crackpot?
Now, who demands rights that some people have already got, because we keep going on about trans rights or human rights. Okay. So, unless you're one of those people.
This is where he excludes people, and it's what his little wee thing he does. So he excludes people that doesn't agree with him. You know, and it's like, so he's actually excluding a trans judge, is what he's doing here. I think it's exclusionary what he's doing in that sort of nasty sort of way. You know, and especially since he's the leader of this political party, does that, you know, it's like, it's quite blatant what he's doing, and I think he really, you know, like, so what else does he say?
Not you, but everyone else, have a great day. Cheery, bye now.
The guy's a complete fanny, he obviously is. Right, okay. Right, that's going to do that. You know, so what we've covered is toilets are not safe spaces. Craig, Silver Hot Takes, all these people could say that all day long. They're not safe spaces. And Victoria McLeod is going to take the British government to the European Court of Human Rights, ECHR, and she's going to win. And it could be that a transgender woman will get compensation for being discriminated against. I could show you my birth certificate, but I won't bother. But it says F on it. And who did that? It was the government. Right, so that's what this is all about. And I think, Craig, you need to get your head a wobble. And a lot of these men that think that J.K. Rowling has their back, get your head a wobble. She doesn't like you. She doesn't care about you. And try and get facts right as well about Paris Green. Paris Green's Paris Green. It's not called Peter Green. It's Paris Green. Peter Green was you said that was what her name was, according to you, Craig. I don't know if it was or not. She should be out of jail by now. I don't like her, but I don't think she should be in jail for 13 years, considering she didn't even commit the murder. She was just part of it. Right, so thanks for watching. Please like, share and subscribe. And remember, the caveat is, this is all for entertainment, and I don't wish these numpties any harm. Alright? Bye.